Okay, you guys, it is the final day of the week in my HB90 planner, and I feel like I'm definitely getting a chance to show you all examples. So by the time I'm actually having a minute to pick up my camera, it is already 4 p.m. and the day is mostly over. And you can see I wrote nothing in this daily planner. And I think that some of the part of being successful in a daily planner is just thinking that you're not going to be disappointed in yourself if you don't write anything down. So maybe you'll have multiple days of the week that don't get used and then move on and just keep working on the next set of pages. But today is the launch of HB90 and it was such a busy morning. We lost power first thing in the morning for a couple of hours. I was kind of trying to just stay calm about it because there was so much to do. And then Renee and I basically worked all day to get my new HB Notebook Challenge video up. So that is video number 10 of the quarter just went up. We opened cart on enrollment for HB90 and I finished the letter and A5 planners. So that cleared out everything there. Now, since the course is open, I do have some sticky notes that I have for goals of how many people are enrolled. And as of right now, we already have 20 people in. So I might be able to move this sticky note down pretty soon to the done section, but it's not quite there just yet, but we're almost there. So throughout the week, I was able to clear out everything that I had here, except if you remember, I had this HB90 podcast slotted for this week and I moved it back because I knew I wasn't going to achieve it. And for me, being able to move it off the board or out of the way lets me know that I'm like working within my limits, and it makes me feel more positive when it is clear. So that's something else that I will do now that it is almost the final month of the quarter. I will finish my May review. So in your HB90 planner, there will be a monthly review for the first 2 months of the quarter and then a quarterly review for the final month of the quarter. And part of what that review asks you is like, are you on track? Are you keeping up with things? Do you need to adjust your schedule? What's working? What's not working? And one of the things that I will do sometimes is I will go through and I will take off projects for this last month that I know I'm not going to complete this quarter, which is a way of kind of setting myself up for success. So like, look at all these projects that haven't gotten done. I want to end the quarter feeling like it was a success. And so I might take some of these off and go ahead and move them into my planner for next month so that I can do my best to figure out what are my priorities to still get done to make this a successful quarter. So that got finished. This stuff is not going to quite get done. I didn't get finished with that book, but I did track my steps every day this week. So that can go down to the done section. Over here, I completed my marketing brainstorm. So that is finished, but I didn't get Shadow Demons audited and I didn't quite finish to 10,000 words. So I didn't quite finish those, but overall, I really made some good progress this week. But in terms of my planner for this one day on Sunday, when I was just super busy, what I ended up doing instead, and it's upstairs right now, is I just sat down this morning and I made a quick Post-it note with a task list of just writing all my tasks down. And the reason that I didn't use my planner is because this is a little bit more bulky and I knew that I was going to be moving from one computer to another while I was editing videos and on a Zoom call and so forth. So I just put it all on a sticky note so that I could just carry it with me to whatever computer I was working on. And I'll probably later move that sticky note here into the planner. So some days it's going to be like that, where you don't have time to fill out your planner or you don't have an ability to take it with you, but you can just write out a checklist and that works too. And I think that the key to the checklist thing is not putting things on your plate that you didn't anticipate. So part of the reason that the HB90 planner and system works so well is that you have your tasks figured out at the beginning of the quarter for the next 90 days. And I'm not constantly adding things. I may take things away when I know I'm not going to be able to hit those goals, but I don't add a bunch of stuff to this plan. So that way it kind of limits me. It puts me in a little bit of a limitation here of saying, okay, I'm not going to add more than this to my plate. And so then it's easier to say no to things, to just not feel that pressure of adding things, because it's like, this is my plan and I'm not going to alter it as much as possible. And so the things that went on the sticky note today were all part of the HB90 launch, like finishing the planner, getting the course sales page up, sending out the emails, getting the video edited, posting that to YouTube. That was all part of what was on my board anyway. So it all works in synergy. So you don't have to be perfect about using the planner itself. And in fact, you could do the HB90 system with any kind of planner, Erin Condren or anything. But part of my goal this week was to show you what it's like to use the system and the planner and the Kanban board all together. And I'm hoping that this will give you some ideas. I will catch up with you guys tomorrow on Monday and show you my planner setup for next week. But this is another thing that I will do on Sundays, like I showed you guys last week. It's the final day of the week, but now it's time to set up next week as well. But honestly, since I have been working so hard to get this done, and I've been working since about 8 this morning, I'm probably just going to take a break for the rest of the night. And then I will come back to my planner tomorrow and start fresh for the week. Okay, guys, so that is basically a full productive week in my life using my HB90 planner. It is now June when I'm recording this wrap up, and I have moved into a new planner, and I did just briefly keep my old sheets in here so you could kind of get a full wrap up of the week. So as we look through this, I do usually go back to this page and make sure to check off everything that got done. So some of these things, like my Act 2 index cards, that got partially done, but not completely. I didn't quite write 15,000 words. I wrote 5,000. So I didn't check those off. However, I really should check this off because I did begin my backlist audit. I just didn't get all 6 books in the first Shadow Demon saga done. I started my marketing brainstorm and spent a little bit of time on that, but I did not email Raven. And then I got pretty much, I should have marked this one off, all of this done except for I didn't finalize my editorial calendar. And then over here in 6 Months for Life, I didn't get to my story journal setup. I didn't finish my witchy writing room setup, and I didn't finish recording my gaming room setup. But this third goal is more casual. I don't really have deadlines on this part of my planning. I'm really focused on goal 1 and 2 in terms of deadline. And I feel like I did really good, even though, and this is the important thing, even though I didn't even come close to spending as much time as I thought I would need on these goals. So let's go over this in terms of how this all came together. So I'm also going to mark this off with my HB90 deadline over here. So as you can see, throughout the week, I was taking an estimate of what I thought I was going to be able to spend this time on. And then at the end of the week, I come back in here and I tally up how many task blocks I actually spent. And if you look at most of these, I spent either exactly how much I thought or less than what I thought in terms of my estimate of time. So we'll go through them individually. Book 12, I hoped to spend 26 task blocks on. I spent 21, which for me lately, 10 full hours, that's, each task block is a half an hour. So this is 10 and a half hours worth of work on my book this past week. And that's really, really good for where I have been lately. But sadly, because I'm still so much in the thick of the plotting for this book, it was only 5,000 words instead of 15. And this is something that I have to say, I'm trying to be okay and build up my tolerance for having these weeks where I need more time to plot. I am working on the 12th book of a series that I've been writing for over a decade. It's going to take me longer to plot. And I could make all the excuses in the world about why I wasn't able to write as much when we were on the road. But the truth is, I am where I am, and I have to just meet myself where I am. I can't magically snap my fingers and wish that I was further ahead than I am and wish that I had done better things in the past. I have to get to a point where I'm okay with where I am right now and move forward from where I am, because that's the only path forward. And so sometimes there's disappointment that I didn't quite get as far as I wanted with my word count or with a certain project. But part of my Sunday routine at the end of the week, you'll see, is to do a review of the week. And I think it does a couple of different things. That reflection, sometimes I have to really talk myself into like being okay when I fall short for things, because for the past couple of years, it has been more difficult for me to focus on my writing career due to other things happening in my life. And it's disappointing, but it's also a season that I'm in. And so I understand sometimes when you're goal setting in this way and you're being very precise about what you're getting done, sometimes there is also a level of having to come to terms with what doesn't get done when you thought it was going to. But the good thing about having the plan is that at least I understand and I'm aware of where I am in relation to where I want to be. It allows me to also adjust my expectations. So this week I can see that, I had other things going on with the HB90 launch and everything else. So I can be a little bit easy on myself, but I also know I've really got to get to work on this if I'm going to achieve even getting partway through this rough draft by the end of the quarter. So I've got a little bit of pressure. And then I also have to give myself a little bit of grace. And sometimes it's all about that balance. And this is really where the mental health side of productivity comes in. And everybody's personality is going to be different in what you can tolerate. If you are the type of person who, if you get to the end of the week, you fell short on some of these goals, then I really encourage you to plan your weeks to where you are giving yourself lots and lots of buffer time, because instead of setting myself up for having to do really, really well this week, if I was the kind of person who knew that if I don't hit this goal and I don't write these 15,000 words, I'm going to be really, really hard on myself, then I would have only planned for 5,000 words. Just understanding that this is the way that I am and that it's going to derail me or set me back if I overplan or over expectations. So I need to pull my expectations back each week until I can consistently meet my goal. And you're really the only one who knows what kind of person you are and whether or not you can build your tolerance over time for not quite hitting these goals. And that's really where I've been over the last couple of years. I always think I can do more than I can. But at the end of the week, I practice being really kind to myself and saying, you did really well, even if it wasn't what you hoped. But everybody's going to be different for that. So HB90 prep and the planner. So the course launched last weekend, which is at the end of this week. And that was really, really time intensive. And if I didn't have Renee, my new operations manager on my team, this would have been the entire week for me. Thank God I have her too, because she was doing just as much work in terms of time as I was. And so that was really took a lot off my plate. But even then I guesstimated 18 task blocks and ended up spending 19. And it actually might have been a little bit more than that. And I might not have tracked my time correctly on Sunday, but somewhere around 19. So that's the only one that went over other than my videos. So A+ content was something I was working on as a bonus masterclass for my Publish and Thrive students. So I got that finished a little bit faster than I expected. I ended up putting out 2 videos last week. So that took me 7 task blocks to do both of those. Then I had hoped to set up my journal for my story journal, and I didn't get to it, but I did do some other work for 6 months for life. And so that counted as 2 here. My editorial calendar, I just didn't have time for I only got 1 task block done on that. My marketing for my Shadow Demon Saga, I only got 2 task blocks instead of 4. My coffee chat is always 3 every Friday. It's my live stream. It takes me 1 task block to get ready and then break things down. And then I'm live for a full hour. My backlist audit, I only barely got started on. So I planned for 8 and only did 2. And then my admin work is pretty regular, pretty recurring to be between 15 and 18 task blocks a week. And so that fell right on target. But with all of the tasks plus the admin, I was planning for 102 task blocks. And I ended up only spending 78 task blocks worth of work last week. And this is really a more realistic goal to only spend 78, because that's still almost a 40-hour work week of actual dedicated work. And that's excellent. So I'm not disappointed in this. And really 102 is not realistic. And that's not a normal week for me anyway. It's just that I had this HB90 stuff. I had the planner to design and everything else. And I knew it was going to be a big week, but I can't be disappointed in 78 task blocks. That's above what I normally am able to do. But you can see over here, I filled in when I finished my sprint. So I've got that on here, but I don't usually go through and check everything off. I do have a habit tracker over here for what habits I would like to keep up with, but I just don't always fill that in. And then you've got the daily pages here where you can see that I tracked what social media I posted just to make sure it's kind of an accountability thing. And then how many task blocks I used each day. So this is kind of a little flip through of what that looks like in the end. And you can see here at the beginning of the week, I did highlight the 3 things I most wanted to get done. And most weeks I do actually stick with that throughout the week. But I had so many things that I felt were really important this week that I just didn't even keep up with it. So that's another one of those places where it's like, you're not going to always be perfect and consistent on every single thing. And that's okay. So then we've got all the way through Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday, I really worked. I wrote down that I worked 18 task blocks, but it might have been a little bit more than that. And I just didn't have my full tracking. Renee and I got on a Zoom call and we worked on the HB90 launch and the new video and everything pretty much all day long. And then I finished up the HB90 planners so that those could go up early last week. So it was a really, really busy day, and it might have been even more than 18 task blocks. And I wouldn't normally work at all on a Sunday, or hardly at all, but it was a special occasion. Then at the end of the week, I have a review in the back of the HB90 planner. I have a review at the end of every week, review at the end of every month, or at least the first 2 months of the quarter. And then at the end of the 3rd month of each quarter, there's a quarterly review that's like 4 pages long. And this review only takes me about 5 to 10 minutes each week, but it asks questions like, what am I most proud of? What challenges did I face? What will I do to make it a great week? Am I on target to hit my 90-day goals? This is an important one because it's easy to look up at my Kanban board and say, am I on track? It's obvious this goal number 1 still has the majority of its sticky notes are still at the top in the doing to do section, but these 2 are looking really, really good and I'm perfectly on track. So that tells me this just 5-minute bit of reflection that I'm doing tells me very clearly that all I have to do is focus on goal number 1 to make this quarter more successful. So then I'm able to say over here, like, what can I continue to do? What can I work on? And it allows me to really focus in on what's working, what's not working. And that moment of reflection allows me to be adaptable. And it allows me to come back later and just take a look at how the week went. I also have started something new down here at this bottom box. It's just a blank box in the planner. And I've started writing down what I accomplished for the week, because a lot of times I feel like we can spend a busy week and then feel like because we fell short on a couple of things, like, oh, I didn't get my writing done this week, or I didn't get such and such done. We don't give ourselves credit for all the things that did get done. So it's important, I think, to continue to mark down our accomplishments. So I've been using this little box for that. So overall this week, I wrote 5,000 words and did quite a bit of plotting. I launched my HB90 course, which takes a lot of work, dozens of hours of work, completed 8 planners, so 8 versions of my HB90 planner. I designed it all by myself. So I did all of that work this week. I did 2 new videos for my Heart Breathings channel. I prepped an A+ content masterclass. I did a live stream for my coffee chat. I posted regularly almost every day to social media. And I began my backlist audit project, which has been on my list for more than a year. So I can look at this, and even though I know I fell short on a few things, I can really celebrate the things that got done. I can reflect on why I fell short and how I can catch up next week. And it really gives me this sense of accomplishment. So that was the end of my May sheets. And now we have moved into the month of June. So that is really I know it's been a long video, but that is a realistic, true view of a week in my life, and probably one of the more productive weeks in my life. And I sincerely hope that it helped you to see how I go through this. And I hope that you also will know if you're considering joining the HB90 program, so that you can also be really clear on your tasks and track your time and things like that. One of the things that I really want to drive home about HB90 is that it's different and it looks different for everyone. Not everybody uses the planner. Not everybody tracks their time. Some people use Trello instead of a physical Kanban board. the key is not necessarily in exactly how you execute it. The key is planning in a way that makes sense to you and gives you clarity on exactly what you're trying to accomplish in your life and what steps you need to take next to get there. And that is going to depend on you as an individual. So this is a very flexible, modifiable system. And this is the way that it works for me. But after almost 2,000 students that have taken this course, almost everybody has a different way of going about it. And once you go through the class or you go through the planner, then you can start to adapt the system. So if you've seen something here that makes you go, oh, that would never work for me, that's totally okay, because I've designed a system that's specifically meant to be flexible and able to be adapted to your specific personality, the way your specific mind works, the way that you like to put things on your plate, what brings you joy, and all of that. And I would love so much to be able to support you as you plan your own dream life. And I have lots of ideas, and our alumni have lots of ideas of how you can adapt this system to make it work for you. But I guarantee that there is something in the system that will help everyone, and I would love to support you. I hope you've enjoyed this video, even if you're not interested in the HB90 method. Hopefully it gave you some ideas about your own time and everything else. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.